if you're considering leaving law enforcement or have to leave the profession because of life occurrences or an injury, then you must watch this video because there are some things you have to consider. And I'm very grateful that Jessica Flores, host of the Next Shift podcast, is here to talk about her experience and her knowledge that can benefit you. Let's get right to the interview. Okay, Jess. Well, if someone is thinking about leaving law enforcement, let's have some real talk. What's your advice for those leaving the profession?
Yeah, for sure. The number one thing that I want people to understand is why they're leaving. Is it because you're pissed off at command staff, your lazy coworkers? Is it something going on at your department and you're just running away from that, hoping that the next thing you do, you're going to get away from that? There's a newsflash. Even the private sector has horrible bosses and lazy coworkers. So if it's that, maybe you deep dive a little bit more into some of the internal things that you can change and focus on those control factors, control what you can control type of things. Sometimes there's just a toxic work environment and you really do need to get out of there. If it's retirement, the reason you're leaving, okay, well then what do you need next? If you are retiring and you're going to be getting your pension check, do you actually need another full-time job with that $100,000 a year salary that everybody just seems to want when they're getting out of law enforcement? Or is this a time where you can just take a step back for a second, debrief your entire career, get all of that out of there, get whatever help you might need, and really understand life is different after law enforcement. Not everybody's a jerk. The world doesn't revolve around just horrible incidents all the time. Just give yourself time to breathe for a second and then really realize maybe I don't even need to work. Maybe this is my time. I can really volunteer my time to different causes that I was never able to because I was working constantly, or things like that. Or maybe I just get a part-time job. I've talked to several people who are in I want zero stress, basically. We all have stress in life, but I want a job with nothing. I don't want to be responsible for anyone. I don't want to be in charge of making decisions. I don't want any of that. I just want to freaking breathe finally. And then there are some who typically the command staff level people who are looking to get out and they're like, nope, I need to be in charge. I need to be in control. I need to have a role like that. Again, if you can take that break, if you can take that month break or, whatever, take it and really figure out who you are inside and what it is you're wanting. Something I love to have people do is come up with your non-negotiables for your next career. If you're going to have to go to another career, what are your non-negotiables? For the longest time, you really had no say in working overtime or being on call or doing all of these different types of things that most of us have to do. So now is the time to say, I don't want to be a salary employee. I don't want to be on call. I refuse to work nights. I refuse to work weekends. I want to work from home only. Maybe you're in a stage of life where your kids are little and you want to work from home, or you're like, holy shit, this looks glorious, and you need to give it a shot, whatever that is. But there's all these different non-negotiables that you can have, and this is your opportunity to finally have a say in what it is you want or don't want for your career. It's very, very tempting for a lot of us to want to go directly into a law enforcement adjacent type role. And just like I said before, if you have that moment to kind of step back and think, well, I'm freaking miserable where I'm at right now, or man, this has been really rough on my life. Why on earth would I want a job that is somewhat similar to that, but no authority and people that weren't cops around me? They're not going to even get me type of situation. So you really have to consider all of these different things when you're going to the real world, quote unquote, because it is different. People don't talk like us. They don't think like that, like us. They don't act like us. And sometimes that's a really big wake up call to a lot of people when you realize, ooh, I got to kind of change some things or dial it down a bit, not to fit in necessarily, but to at least make it to where you can work in these professions with these people. I like to have a lot of people also make lists when I'm working with them. And I know people are like, oh, eye roll or journal, look at it however you want, list, journals, whatever it is. But a lot of us lose ourselves in this career, whether we're trying to or not, we just do. Whether it's, this is my only purpose, this is the only thing I am, I'm just a cop. God, I hate that phrase, but it happens to so many of us when we get out. And so this list I like to have people make, it's just a sheet of paper, you get it out and you make 4 columns where you've got identity, purpose, passions, and skills across the top. Set a timer, maybe 10 minutes. If you give yourself more than that, you're just gonna your brain's gonna go all over the place. So give yourself a condensed amount of time to write down everything in that identity column that you feel you are. So husband, father, wife, mother, daughter, ex law enforcement, prior law enforcement, retired, injured, confident, whatever it is that you identify as words that encapsulate who you are. The next column is purpose. So everything you do within your day, your week, your month, your life that makes you feel a sense of purpose. What are those things? Passions. I know for sure I let all of that go because I didn't have time to have passions. It felt like when I was in the job, I didn't have extra time to go fish or to go do this or go do that. So write down those things. Think back to when you were a little kid. What were the things that brought you joy that you just freaking love doing? Or the things before you got into this job that you just don't have time for? Or the things you see other people doing and you're like, man, I really wish I could do that. Well, now you can. You're going to have a lot more time, more than likely. And then skills. Good Lord, we get a lot of skills in this job. And it's something so underrated that we don't even think about. And shameless plug, if I can, I created a document of 25 of those transferable skills because I didn't know at all that I had any of these until I sat down and I really looked at the things we did day in and day out. And I didn't just list the skills, I listed where you would use them so that you can actually picture, oh, yeah, a time when I did this. Okay, now I can confidently talk about the fact that I have this skill, and that's going to help you in interviews. That's going to help you write your resume, tailor it to whatever job it is you are getting. I feel like that was really long winded, but
No, that was solid. I appreciate all of that. And to anyone who's like, wait, that was good information, you're just going to have to listen to it again to take it all in. No, great stuff. I did have a question though.
yeah.
What do you recommend for people who have to leave the profession? Like I had to leave for family, you had to leave because of an injury. Nobody's immune from certain things that could happen. It could happen, like an injury. So how do you process that? Even if it's hard, how do you process it based on your experience?
Yeah. So my newest catchphrase, if you will, is prepare today for what could happen tomorrow. Because like you said, this can end tomorrow. If you woke up, and you really need to wake up every day thinking, and that's a balance. I get it. If you're still in, you're like, but I don't want to think like that because we have to have a certain mindset going to work. But if you think, if this profession were gone tomorrow, what would I do? And you have to start formulating some sort of direction, maybe not a full-fledged plan for yourself, but at least a direction of where you can go, and then start making connections now today in those different directions. Don't have like 5 directions. I did the whole spray and pray thing when I when I was forced to get out and find something, and that is just not ideal. You can't focus. It is going to exhaust the hell out of you trying to research every company that you're now putting in for, or you're not even doing that. You're just, here's an application. If they call, I'll figure out what it is about them I want to work for. Don't do that. The recruiters can smell that. The people you're talking to can smell that. The best thing you can do is have a plan of 1 to 2 paths that you're thinking, okay, maybe one of those would be it. If you're still in the job, get the freaking training you can through your department and let them pay for that shit to get you the direction you want to go. Otherwise, figure it out. Go on LinkedIn. It is a gold mine. Dear Lord, I wish I had this 8 years ago, but LinkedIn is a gold mine, not an ad. But go on there and search job titles, companies that you're like, ooh, I'd really like to work there. Axon and Flock are like literally being flocked to right now, because they are law enforcement adjacent. You still get to be somewhat involved, but there's so many if you really look at all the products we use and softwares. But go on there, type that company name in there, type in project manager or operations manager or whatever it is you think you might want to be doing cybersecurity. See what pops up, see what jobs pop up, see what companies pop up, see what people pop up, and then go through there and look at the companies, see what these companies are all about in that sphere that you're looking at maybe going into. Look at the jobs. What do those job descriptions look like, and what qualifications are they saying you need or that are recommended, type of thing, and look at the people and then make connections with them. Hey, I'm currently here, but I'm looking to possibly get into this. Do you have any tips? It is literally that simple. We talk to people all day, every day in this job of all walks of life on the fly with no prep. Don't make this hard. Just literally send a message and tell them who you are, what you're doing, and what you're looking to do, and ask them for help. I guarantee anyone that has been previous law enforcement is willing to tell you anything that you want to know. But that's what I got for you.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. And okay, say someone is being forced out of the job, say to an injury or life circumstances,
Yeah.
and they're not doing well with it.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, I hope you don't mind talking about this. You were, it hit you pretty hard when you had to leave a career you were going to be a lifer in.
Yeah.
How do you how do you personally process that? I mean, obviously you have to apply for jobs, but it takes some work from within. So what helped you?
So I will tell you, I think part of it was one, having my now husband who was still in, I think, because then I was somewhat still close to it, but at the same time, maybe a little bit jealous. Like, why does he get to keep going and I don't? And I will tell you, I got very mad at God for the longest time, saying, why could you take this thing that you gave me? Like, this is what you called me to do. And it took me a solid 2 years to get out of this depressive, like just going through the motions state of why me, poor me, blah, blah, blah. And I do not want it to take near that long for anybody else. That is why I do the work that I do, because while I stayed true to the cause and I kept getting jobs that paid my bills, there was zero purpose behind any of those jobs. I woke up every morning like, this can't be it. This can't be it. But my bills were being paid, right? And so when I finally, and it was right before maybe that 2 year mark when my dad's health started declining, which killed my grandpa at my dad's age when he started getting sick, and my grandpa was a cop. And then I'm half their age, and I was like, oh, well, I better do something for my own health and safety if I'm gonna not follow in their footsteps. I decided to start a fitness journey that put me in a huge, huge community of people doing the same thing. And it saved my life. It was the biggest game changer. It was finally that time where I saw people battling far worse things than I was going through. I saw people steps ahead of me, steps behind me, steps beside me, going through this same journey. And that really, really helped. It really just helped me see, I don't have it as bad as I think I do. Oh, this injury to my wrist did not take my legs away. It did not take my other arm away. It didn't take my core away. Like, I could make things work, and I just had to learn to adapt and lose that ego of, well, I used to be able to do this. Okay, cool. Well, I can't now. So now I have to figure out what I can do and focus on that every single day, and becoming the better version of myself each day. There was no longer this, I've got to prove to anybody. It was, I have to prove to me that I can do this. And it was really this, I don't even know what it was that clicked, but the minute I recognized I was grieving the loss of my career, because I didn't think that was a thing. I literally only thought we could grieve people. But the minute I realized I was grieving my career, I was like, well, shit, there's the acceptance piece of grief. Like, done. Like, okay, now I can move on and move forward. And I was like, wow, that was a revelation. I don't know why it took this long. I believe truly that everything happens for a reason. So it needed to take that long. I needed to struggle for that long and be in the depths, it felt like, to claw my way out of that. Most people, I will always recommend therapy. I did not do it. I did it the hard way, which is probably why it took 2 years. But I did not do that. I did not unpack any of the things that I could have unpacked from my career. I feel like I did a good job throughout my career doing that. But if you talk to almost anyone getting out of this field, and Stan Partlow likes to say, like, unpack the rocks from your backpack, because it gets even heavier when you have no network around you that understands you or the career you were just in. Unpack those things before you try to move on, because it's only going to be heavier and weigh you down more as you try to move on.
Wise words. And I can tell you've become a lot stronger because of the struggle. So there is success you never thought possible on the other side of that pain. Jess, if someone wants to get in touch with you or follow your podcast, how can they do that?
Yeah, so the best way, I'm on both Instagram and LinkedIn. On Instagram, it is Next Shift, the name of my company. On LinkedIn, it is Jessica Reed Flores. You can find me in either place, and then there are tons of resources, including the podcast and the links on each of those pages.
I hope you found this video helpful. Do click the like button below, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with others who are leaving the profession as well. And do not forget to check the Next Shift podcast. There's a link down below in the description box. I look forward to talking to you again in the next video. Take care of yourself, and may God bless.